If anything like this is happening to you, go to the doctor now. I'm not going to say where we live. I'm not going to use our real names. All of this happened. If any of it sounds familiar, or it's happening to someone in your life, go to the doctor. Don't wait. People have already died, and we're not being told. This is how it started for us. You haven't noticed how distant you've been the last couple of days? No. I have no idea why. I feel fine. A little depressed, but nothing more. My husband promised me and the kids he would do better. I thought maybe it was because he was about to turn 40. We had just got back from our trip to Disney World, and as far as he was concerned, everything was great. He ran a small fever for a couple of days after we got home, and it took a while for his ears to pop from the plane. Other than that, everything seemed normal. I felt guilty for having to say something about him being distant. I had to. It was completely out of his character. A week went by. He was complaining that he felt like crap all the time, but he had no idea why. He was sweating. I made him go to the doctor, and they said that he had a sinus infection. Lots of mucus in his sinuses, and excessive buildup in his ears. They gave him some antibiotics and sent him home. He woke up one night in a cold sweat. He told me his fingernails were burning, like there was something underneath them. I had never heard that before. He took a couple of aspirin and tried to go back to sleep. He didn't. A few days went by and he had not slept at all. His mood was worse. He kept flexing his fingers. They were constantly moving. I looked things up on the internet to see if someone else had ever had the same issue. Nothing. One night I woke up and he wasn't in bed. I found him in the kitchen, soaking his hands in the sink. The water was pouring out of the faucet, and steam was fogging the kitchen window. He had a box of Epsom salts right next to him on the counter. "George, what are you doing?" "Oh, nothing. Go back to bed, baby. I'll be right there." "What's going on?" "Nothing." I walked into the kitchen, and I could tell that he was trying to hide whatever was in the sink from me. When I got closer, I could see that the water in the sink had a pink hue. I turned my head. There was a pair of needle-nosed pliers on the kitchen island. "Oh my God, George." "I'm okay, seriously, look at me." "I'm okay, I feel way better." I know how this looks. He had removed every nail from every finger. "It looks crazy." "I know. I watched some videos on how to safely do it." "Are you insane? How to safely do it?" There was just this little voice in my head that gave me the answer. I took a couple of pills after I was done. The pain is gone. I'm not running a fever. I feel great. I wanted him to see a doctor the next day, and he agreed. I should have insisted that I go along just to make sure he went, but I didn't. He never went to the doctor. He told me later that something told him not to. He slept like a baby for 2 days. He even called off a day from work. Other than the bandages on all of his fingers, he was himself again. I told him I wanted him to see a therapist. I was worried. The morning of the 3rd day, I found him in the garage. He was staring at the wall. He was speaking. It sounded like he was speaking backwards, but he wasn't. The words he was saying were in English, but they were all garbled up. A kind of verbal dyslexia. Word fragments that were smashed together at random. That's the only way I can describe it. When I walked over and shook him, he immediately snapped out of it, like nothing was wrong at all. Just sleepwalking, I think. I think I was dreaming that I was having a conversation myself. He laughed it off, got dressed, and then went to work. He came home 5 hours later. He had threatened to kill a coworker. They fired him. They didn't call the police because he agreed to leave. He had no explanation. He was as dumbfounded and terrified as I was. I don't even remember doing any of it. I barely remember coming home. What's going on with me? I don't know. We need to get you in to see someone. I worried he had a brain tumor. I made him an appointment for the next morning. He began running a fever again in the early evening.